If you think your boss is a nightmare, just be glad you weren't the intern tasked with explaining why there were actual literal human corpses hanging from the trees on the set of Apocalypse Now. We see the glitz, the $20 million paychecks, and the airbrushed smiles that suggest Hollywood is a magical land of dreams. But let's be real. Behind every cinematic masterpiece is a stressed-out director screaming into a megaphone while the set literally burns down around them. We love the movies, but the true horror isn't always what's on the screen. It's what happened right behind the camera. From literal dead bodies used as props to sets that were actually cursed, some of your favorite films were fueled by pure, unadulterated chaos. I'm breaking down 3 legendary productions that didn't just have creative differences. They had body counts, psychological warfare, and enough bad luck to make a black cat retire. Grab your popcorn and maybe a hard hat. We're diving into 3 Hollywood horror stories. Story 1. Apocalypse Now. Eventually.
Are you an assassin? I'm a soldier.
First up, let's talk about Apocalypse Now, a movie that was less of a film shoot and more of a slow-motion descent into madness. In 1976, director Francis Ford Coppola headed to the Philippines for what he thought would be a quick 4-month shoot. It lasted over a year and a half. Why? Because the universe decided to press the delete button on the entire production. First, a massive typhoon wiped out the multi-million-dollar sets. Then, the lead actor, Martin Sheen, suffered a near-fatal heart attack mid-scene and had to crawl a quarter mile to a road to find help. But the real diva of the story? Marlon Brando. He showed up $1 million over budget, 40 pounds overweight, and hadn't read a single word of the script. Coppola was so stressed he reportedly threatened to take his own life 3 different times. But the horror peak? To make the jungle scenes look authentic, the production bought actual human cadavers from a guy who turned out to be a grave robber. The crew only found out when the police showed up to investigate why there were real bodies hanging in the trees. Imagine showing up for your first day at work and having to explain that to the local cops.
Are they seriously saying that Marlon would not show up?
It was like you were in a dream.
Story 2. The Exorcist's real-life curse.
Is there someone inside you?
Sometimes.
Who is it?
If you think the movie The Exorcist is scary, try being on the payroll. This production was so haunted it practically needed its own priest on the benefits plan. Shortly after filming began, the entire house set burned to the ground in a mysterious fire. The only room left completely untouched by the flames? The bedroom where the demon lived. The curse didn't stop at property damage, it got physical. The lead actress, Ellen Burstyn, suffered a permanent spinal injury after being yanked too hard by a stunt cable. And Linda Blair, the possessed girl herself, fractured her back when a mechanical bed malfunctioned. By the time the movie hit theaters, 9 people associated with the film had died, including 2 actors whose characters also died in the script. It got so unsettling that the director actually brought in a real Jesuit priest to perform an exorcism on the set just so the crew would stop quitting out of pure terror. When your boss has to call the Vatican just to finish the work week, you know you're in trouble. Story 3. The Shining Psychological Slasher.
Johnny! I'm coming down!
Finally, we have The Shining. While Jack Nicholson was busy swinging an axe on camera, the director, Stanley Kubrick, was playing the role of the real-life villain. Kubrick was a legendary perfectionist, which is just a fancy way of saying he was a nightmare to work for. He didn't want actress Shelley Duvall to act scared. He wanted her to be scared. He forced her to perform the iconic baseball bat scene 127 times in a row. For context, that's an entire day of crying and screaming for 1 minute of footage. Her hair started falling out in clumps from the sheer stress of the environment. Kubrick even ordered the rest of the crew to ignore her and be mean to her so she would feel completely isolated. And then the cherry on top. the massive studio set caught fire and burned to the ground toward the end of the shoot. There's a famous photo of Kubrick standing in the charred ruins, laughing. Most people see a fire and call 911. Kubrick saw a fire and saw a photo op. When the guy in charge thinks a multi-million-dollar disaster is hilarious, you've officially entered a Hollywood horror story. It turns out that making a movie about a nightmare often requires living through one first. These films might be classics now, but for the people on set, they were just a Tuesday in hell. Which of these disasters makes your 9 to 5 look like a vacation? Or do you have a favorite behind-the-scenes legend that's even crazier? Comment below, hit like, and subscribe for more Tinseltown chaos.